Making cinnamon bread as a little girl was not a weekly activity, but it happened often enough that I knew how to do it and I knew it was really delicious. We're gonna make a loaf of it today. I'm gonna show you guys just how easy it actually is. Maybe you can teach your little 9-year-old girl to make it too. Start by lightly beating up an egg with some egg yolks. We're gonna add a little bit of sugar to those eggs. Then we have some instant yeast, and I got mine in packs, although when I was growing up, we always got it in like a 1-pound pack. It was always vacuum sealed, so it felt like a brick, but the minute you pricked a little hole in, it would just deflate and be all soft. It was always my favorite activity. I'm just gonna mix that stuff together, and then you're supposed to add whole milk and melted butter. I put my butter in the milk to melt it right here, but the milk got a little hot, so I have to let it cool down a little so it doesn't kill the yeast. I'm gonna add a little bit of flour right away as well. Just mix that in, and you are going to end up kneading flour in. My milk and butter have cooled down to the right temperature, so I'm gonna add that in there and just stir it in. Hope it doesn't get lumpy with a little bit of flour I have in there. It's working out great, so we're gonna keep adding flour. And this is what I mean when I say you can rearrange a recipe if you have to. Recipes are not that fancy. If you have a little bit of cooking instinct, it will work out just fine. I remember many times as a little girl learning to make bread that sometimes I would forget to add the yeast or forget to add the sugar. And bread, of course, cannot rise without yeast, and the yeast cannot rise without sugar. So sometimes if our bread wasn't rising, we're like, oh crap, we didn't add sugar, or oh crap, we didn't add yeast. We just take the dough and add it in afterwards and knead it in really well, and it worked. So bread isn't all that fancy at all. Once you have all of that flour kneaded in, you need to grease your bowl a little bit, and your dough should be a little bit sticky. Mine isn't because it's greased. Then we're gonna cover it and we're gonna let it rise. Once your dough has doubled in size, uncover it and punch it down, and it's time to roll it out to make our loaf. You want to lightly flour the surface that you're gonna be rolling it out on, and then I always like to lightly flour the top of my dough as well, so it doesn't stick to my rolling pin. Then just roll it out. You want to make sure the width is the same width as your loaf pan. Once you have it rolled out, you can take melted butter and brush it over, or you can just take softened butter and smear it over, which is what I'm gonna do. Then for the sugar, you can do a mixture of raw sugar or white sugar and brown sugar, or if you're not feeling like doing that, you can just do one of them. I'm going to do brown sugar because I don't feel like mixing them together. Then we take our cinnamon shaker and just generously shake cinnamon over it. Now we just take our batter with all the toppings, or our dough with all the toppings and stuff, and we roll it up as tightly as we can. And if you want to, you can sprinkle it lightly with a mist of water before rolling it up so it sticks together better, but I literally don't have a water mister, so I'm just gonna roll it up. And now pick it up, and if it's a little bit longer than the loaf pan, just squash the ends in a little and put it in your greased loaf pan. I greased mine with butter. Make sure the seam is on the bottom. I like to just squeeze mine in a little bit so it fills the loaf pan up better. And now we just cover this and let it set in a nice warm place until it's risen to about an inch above the loaf pan. Once your loaf is done rising, we're going to uncover it, and we're going to take an egg wash and egg wash it. And now it goes in the oven to bake. I just pulled the loaf out of the oven. It spilled over a little bit on this side, but that's fine. I'm going to take it out of the loaf pan right away. I think it turned out perfect, but it is still very hot, so we're gonna take a wet towel and we're gonna put it on top so the crust gets a little soft. My bread has cooled off enough now that I'm gonna cut into it. It is looking very promising. It's nice and soft, and this is what we have. It's so fluffy and it smells delicious. It looks like it turned out perfect, and it is falling apart, which is why it would be a good idea to mix it with a little bit of water. Let's take a bite and see if it tastes as good as it looks. My gosh. It tastes almost like cinnamon rolls, but bread. It's so delicious. There was a reason I loved this as a little kid, and it looks so aesthetic, which is also part of the reason why I loved it so much. This is the very first recipe that I ever put in my Amish cookbook. It is under Amish cinnamon bread on page 1 of the cookbook. So if you guys want to try it, that cookbook is on my website, socialsbylavina.com, which I have linked over here on my profile. Or depending what platform you're on, it might be in the caption of this video. I hope you guys go try this and enjoy.